All right, everybody, we're doing this again. We've been doing these YouTube videos after Cavs games. We're trying to do halftime. Bud Shaw and I actually are both here at the Q, and the Cavs are in trouble, right? LeBron has 4 fouls in the first half, which I saw someone tweet has never happened before in his career.
I don't think it's happened to very many players, and I think it usually is the case that the head coach gets the guy out of the game before he picks up his fourth with 6 minutes to go in the half.
I would like to explain to everyone how passionate Bud was about this when it happened. You can comment, give us comments and questions, and we'll talk about this. How big a deal was this? A huge mistake by Tyler?
Well, I just think it puts him in a precarious position, right? Do you start the second half with him in the lineup and have him pick up his fifth early? I mean,
yes.
He is one of the great closers in the game, and you should want to keep him around toward the end of the game. No? Am I wrong about this?
I think you also have to trust him in that situation to be able to do something.
Well, he could pick up an offensive foul every time he goes to the basket. And I know people say, oh, he gets hammered and everything else. But, I think he's playing, I don't want to say dispassionately again, but I think it still looks very odd to me the way he's playing this game. Early on, settling for threes, not driving. He had a Linux on him on one. You can't take a Linux baseline. I had a very strange disposition in this game, and I don't know exactly what's going on.
I was trying to I talked to some fans before the game about whether they were worried about this game or not. The way we saw also what happened in the second half of Game 3. Were Cavs fans at all concerned about their team? And the answer was no.
Right.
This was a confident crowd. How could the Cavs seemingly not be as confident as their own fans are in themselves?
Well, I think, historically when this guy has had poor games, and it hasn't happened very often, obviously, he comes back with monster games after that. And I think that's where the fans' sort of confidence came from. But do you agree with me? He still hasn't looked like the same guy.
It's insane to me. Mark Green, we just saw your comment, Mark, that you say you got to start him in the second half and try to get him going. Like, all that I think about this, I thought it for Game 3, and I wasn't here. You were here. I think it now. Are we sure he's healthy? How could he be at age 32 with a Cleveland championship in his pocket? They were 10-0 in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden, LeBron James is going to be timid. LeBron James is going to choose not to be aggressive. That does not make sense to me.
Well, I don't understand either, but when we see on a couple of the plays early in this game where he did go to the basket, he got loose for dunks, he looked like the same old guy. But there's something about the way he's carrying himself in this game. It doesn't look like the aggressive. He's not directing traffic. He's not doing some of the things that people saw him do in this 10-game winning streak, and I think that's a big concern. Who knows? Maybe there's something else. Maybe it's a mental fatigue that he's dealing with. But physically, I don't see anything. You don't see him not do certain things because he's, physically unable to.
Aulo, can someone tell me WTF what happened to LeBron? I mean, that's what everyone's wondering. Pucky, is LeBron straight up injured? I mean, you're looking for answers, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Now, here's the thing, and people, this was what I was concerned about the whole year. And you've mocked me at times about this.
I have mocked you about other things, too.
About the minutes. About the minutes. So are we at the point where after 82 regular season games and 10 playoff games, 92 games, now he took 8 games off in the regular season, but he's played 84 games, and now the second half of Game 85 and now the first half of Game 86, now he's tired.
No, I don't think so, Doug. I mean, they've played, 8 games in 31 days? I mean... Right. And you saw him, how great he looked, how fresh he looked in the first couple of games of this series. So I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I hate to bring up the game back when everybody got angry with him about quitting and everything else. He's not quitting. I'm not saying that. But he had the same kind of timidness on the court that we're seeing in some instances tonight, where he's getting the ball and he's immediately giving it back to somebody. And I've never seen that from him.
Dante, we see you asking, Dante Austin, is LeBron hurt? Madden Mobile, who's been here for every chat. We love you, Madden Mobile. What happened to LeBron? It's weird that it's inexplicable, right? You are searching for answers. So here's the question, Bud. Boston got in this series when they lost their best player. That made them, and everybody knows the reason, right? It made them a better team, a more competitive team with the Cavs because they get the small guard out of the lineup. People say small guards don't work against the Cavs. You've talked about that a lot. It forces other guys to take on bigger roles. So LeBron's not out of the game, but he's not going to be as involved in the second half, right? Can the Cavs win without him? Can the Cavs do that? Can the Cavs do what the Celtics have done, which is find a way?
Well,
without their
in
best
getting
guy.
Isaiah Thomas out of the game, they didn't just get a small guard out of the game. They got one of the worst defensive players in the NBA out of the game, and I think that's helped in putting Marcus Smart in there, who isn't doing a lot offensively. Avery Bradley always plays Kyrie Irving tough. Kyrie's admitted that. Clearly, Kyrie's an unbelievable offensive player, and he's going to have to carry them. But the history of this team is that they don't play well when LeBron is out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an opportunity, I think, that may serve them well somewhere along the way. That if they can get this game, despite him being in foul trouble, it could make a big difference for this team. But right now, they're in trouble.
Jermaine Sands, and again, Jermaine, you've been loyal. We see you in the chat. Ty Lue should have pulled LeBron on his second foul. Do you think, is this a kind of a coaching error that comes back and bites him?
I understand.
Is it a mistake?
I understand. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's one of the great players in the history of the game who has been able to monitor himself on the court, not foul out of a lot of games. I think he's only fouled out of two playoff games out of 211 now, something like that I heard on TV. So I guess I can see it. But after he picks up his third, then I think you probably take him out for a while. I mean, I think you need him at the end of a game if the game is even close. And that's my problem with playing him. I mean, when they come back in, whoever he's guarding, whether it's Crowder or somebody else, they're going to go right at him, right? I mean, aren't you going to try to draw something, launch yourself into him, get the fifth foul?
And as
they're
you
in a
said,
bad situation
he
right now.
could be all these. I mean, he could be called for an offensive foul so often. Will that change? Now, we're talking about, right, you want the aggressive LeBron. You want aggressive LeBron going to the basket, not settling for threes. But is he going to be settling more for outside jumpers, fearing that he's going to get an offensive foul?
I think he would have to. And one thing about his game that we've seen in this postseason is that he's very capable of hitting, outside shots, and he's very capable of becoming a three-point shooter, an effective one. Can he do it in this game? We'll see. But I think he's going to have to. You can't suddenly just take every possession and drive it to the basket and hope that they call the other guy for a foul now. I mean, they're probably going to give him some leeway, right? Don't we always hear the superstars get a break in this league?
Nobody in the NBA wants LeBron James to foul out of the Eastern Conference Finals game. That's not good for the league. But you got to call a foul if there's a foul.
So do you start him?
I would start him in the second half. Yeah, I would start it. Would you?
No. I think you've played well in keeping it getting it from a 16-point to a 10-point. I think I would try to ride it out a little bit, at least the first 4 or 5 minutes of the third quarter, see where you stand, and then if it's still a desperate situation, you're going to put them in.
And let's remember, this is not a Celtics team that is winning by 10 just because they're shooting lights out. The Cavs are actually shooting a higher percentage from the field than Boston in the first half. The Cavs are shooting 47%. Boston's shooting 46.7%. The Cavs are making 41.7% from three-point range. The Celtics are making 35.3%. Now, Jay Crowder's perfect. He's 3 for 3 on three-pointers. But this is not maybe market. There was some part of the second half of Game 2, and Ty Lue talked about it then afterward and the next day, that you go under screens against Marcus Smart. You do that because he's not going to kill you from three-point range. And then he went crazy, right? So this is not the Celtics shooting 65% in the first half. They're up by 10, and the shooting percentages are the same.
What they've done is they've gone on 3 different runs: 11-0, 11-2, and 8-0 in the first half. The Celtics, but they've also missed a lot of open jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't. That's the bad thing about right now is that the Celtics, they're not playing over their heads right now. They're just playing more physical defense than the Cavs are used to seeing from this team.
Mark Green's telling me to check in on turnovers. The Celtics have 3 first-half turnovers, and the Cavs have 9.
Yeah, that's huge.
9-3. Good point, Mark Green. But
huge.
Here's the thing, and I see C. Cal and other people talking about the Cavs bench. I know people were talking about looking ahead to the finals. Remember back when we were looking ahead to the finals?
Yeah. I did it as recently as today. When I still don't believe that this team is going to lose in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But looking ahead to that, a lot of the talk was Cavs better bench than Golden State. Okay, so now you need the bench. If LeBron's going to be out, then you need somebody in the bench to do something. Channing Frye didn't play in the first half, and everybody's asking why that was the case. Shump is the only guy who scored off the bench in the first half. He has 5. Richard Jefferson, 3 minutes. Kyle Korver, 7 minutes. Darren Williams, 12 minutes. None of them scored.
Look at J.R. Smith's line.
J.R. Smith, 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 for 3, no points, 2 assists, no turnovers, minus 10.
Minus 10. Yeah, you got to get more. Remember last year in the playoffs,
J.R. Smith no-show, says
when
Alan.
J.R. Smith was he was elevated to. I'm thinking of the year before. I'm sorry, when Irving and Love were both hurt, and J.R. Smith was elevated to your number 2 scoring option. Right now, he's being elevated, and he doesn't know it. They need offense out of him in this second half.
So, let's do some prediction time here, and you guys can give us your predictions right now. We've got to get out of here in about 3 minutes. Who wins? Just tell us. Boston Cavs, whatever. Just tell us who's going to win this game. Who you got?
Cavs in 5 versus Warriors already. Wow, that's impressive.
Sometimes they can be very optimistic.
Hey, I don't think it looks good for this team. I don't think they win this game. You're the one who told me this series was going to be competitive. I thought it would be a sweep. I don't think they win this game.
I think the Celtics, again, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but they have all these role players playing roles and rising to the occasion. They're the number 1 seed, but nobody ever thought of them as the number 1 seed. As soon as they got down 2-0 and their best player got hurt, all the pressure vanished, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody thought they were going to win. So now, and the Cavs, I don't know if they started looking ahead. We started looking ahead. Fans started looking ahead. I don't know what happened. But, again, it wouldn't be a shock to me if all of a sudden they turn it on and they win by 20. You know, if the Cavs outscored the Celtics by 30 in the second half, I would believe that. But if you had to tell me right now, what am I betting my house on? I'm betting on the Celtics win this game. We see you guys saying Cavs. It's going to be a mucky game, says Jermaine. Alan says Celtics if LeBron is again a no-show. Jake OC says the Cavs. Mark Green the Cavs. Pucky says the Cavs barely and leaving us feeling ill nonetheless. Cavs. Listen, here's the thing. I think if they win this and they're up 3-1, then you're fine. Right? I mean,
Sure.
maybe even Boston gets Game 5 in Boston, but you come back to Game 6 feeling fine. If we get the 2-2, all bets are off, right?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay. We appreciate you guys doing this. Thanks for all the comments. Good questions, good comments. I don't think we'll be coming back after the game because Bud and I will both be talking to people, but we'll be doing it again for Game 5 on the road in Boston on Thursday. We'll be back with you guys, so thanks for the comments, and we'll talk to you later. Go subscribe to the cleveland.com YouTube channel, by the way. Cavs YouTube channel on cleveland.com, and read all of us at cleveland.com after the game. See you guys.